I'm retro. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based in debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do a first take on Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray and Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, he hit me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim the Cheat Sheet Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. But we're broadcasting all over the world via, Jim, hold up, check this out, via, you notice what I said, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We got some great show. And yesterday, Jimmy, come up to the top of the screen a little bit more. Bring your head up. Take your head. Yesterday, I'd like to tell you another thanks to Ashton Washington. Yesterday, we had Black History on the show yesterday. Young lady, the first African-American woman to be on the staff at the Fighting Illini in Champaign, Illinois, under Lovey Smith. She was a great interview. People have been texting me and calling me about her, telling me how bright she is. She is going to be one of our, you know how they said 30 under 30s? She going to be one of our 30 under 30s in the future. And Jimmy, I'd like to have a little shout out to Grassroots basketball. I see, I got ads I got to run today. I got the GMI, your event gonna be today. And guess what? We have some powerful individuals gonna be on this show today. Let me take Grassroots basketball. Let me tell y'all something. If you're on Facebook, share the show now. Don't even play around. If you're over there, share the show right now. If you're not on YouTube and you're on Facebook, go subscribe to YouTube. And thank to our subscribers. They're coming. They're finally coming over. If you're on Facebook and you're not, and you have not subscribed to YouTube yet, go there now and subscribe. And the YouTube people, everybody on there, push the like button right now. Let me tell you something. This is going to be a unique show. This is going to be a show like none other. I got a feeling this is going to be a show like so. Jimmy, let me get it out the way right now. Our starting five today. The first five people who came on the Facebook feed was Jessica Brooks, Anissa Ville, Todd Holmes, Rodney Will, and Daryl Anderson. Those are our starting five today. A close second was Sonya Billingsley and and Chris Charles, but y'all didn't make the top 5. But y'all my honorable mention. Y'all my 6 and 7 man. But Jimmy, take that thing off, man. You're in the house, so you can talk. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota mode right now. And that's a hint for some of you people up in Minnesota and people up there. I said it yesterday, and it's saddening that if you can just get the word out to inform people to stop posting the videos of people whom are marching, protesting, doing whatever you want. But why are you putting the videos of them with their faces? You're standing aside them. They understand. All you're doing is helping them. They have what they call facial recognition devices and software. It happened in Ferguson. Did you guys not realize that at least 3 of the leading activists during the Ferguson marches were killed in the aftermath? And as I understand, no arrests. Burned in the cars, most of them, in their own vehicles. So this is what happens. And so we're just sitting back, they're sitting back, just waiting on you to just give everybody up. And I'm not saying, understand something. Another thing is, I don't support the act of the looting part. No. But at the same time, don't you dare let nobody go out there and try to flip this story to make the equivalent of a TV supersede what happened to George Floyd. Don't even engage in that type of conversation, because that's what happens. They're used to this. Now you mean people that are doing the ignorant posting of the culprits in action, what appears to be committing crimes. And at the same time, once again, don't let people try to flip that. They're pros at that. They flipped everything in recent memory and spin it around. Now they're trying to go back and dig up Martin Luther King quotes and flip them out. And then you got to think about something. And I tell you, once again, I'll give you a little ammunition. Chop, give you some ammunition. Tell the same people that come with that energy with a quote to go back and get the same energy to find out the atmosphere for which most white people and how they felt about Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad Ali, before Cassius Clay.
But Jimmy, you know how I am. I'm not worried about how they think about it. All you got to worry about what you feel about it, man. And all I want us to do, y'all, Jimmy, you wanted to go there again. We got a special guest coming up. But we just have to become politically mature and have to realize the power that we have, man. Once a person that is running for these offices are aware that the people are awakened to the power that he's holding. See, first of all, we got to understand the power that we hold. And once those people who running for office realize it, let me tell you something. And like I told you yesterday, and I think it went over everybody's head. If those guys were in fear of their job. But you know what, Jimmy? I sat and watched that tape again. That guy there have a sinister nature. Let me tell you something, Jimmy. If you go back and look at his record, y'all go look at his record. They surrounded his house last night. I don't know if you know or not, Jimmy, the officer who got on the guy's neck. But let me tell you something, Jimmy. When we finish protesting, let's have a plan, okay? And guess what I'm working on? And guess what, Jimmy? We got a young lady that's a pastor up there named Carmen Means. I was a part of a group that yesterday, because a lot of people we saw marching didn't have masks. So the group of people that I know, they sent 4,500 masks up there to her, because she leading that neighborhood. She's like the neighborhood person in there. She's a pastor in that area. And we sent them $4,000, man. Because in these things, sometimes people need some bread, doc. So those are the kind of things. Let me tell you something. Protest. Don't stop the protest. But let me tell you something. Let's have a plan after the protest. So Jimmy, it's getting that time. And let me tell you something, Jimmy. We are not going to talk about this for a month and let it go. We are going to continue to help those people in Minnesota and around the country. You know, because let me tell you something, man. People got to realize you just can't kill anybody and just go scot-free about it just because you got a badge on it. No, man. No, it's not going to happen. So, hey, what else you got, Jimmy? What else you got?
I mean, that's the whole. I mean, this guys understand and I asked the question 2 days ago. What are you gonna do about it? You gonna sit back and watch TV? You're gonna sit back and either you're gonna do something about it. You're not gonna do something about it, or you're gonna just sit back and be neutral on it, and because you're gonna wait until the next one comes, and the next one just might be closer to home, or it might be home, and that's the thing. And so, guess what? This is an election year. If you didn't have motivation, this is the time to motivate yourself and or those around you the opportunity to get registered to vote or get motivated to vote. And that's where it starts, at the grassroots level. If you can make the change in your community, that's how it can go down. Remember the lady from the first,
Jimmy, hold on a second. A book. You don't have to come on yet. Push Jimmy, hold on, we got a sound. And just tell Book he got to be, I don't have his text. Just tell him he got to push mute on his phone. On his thing. Yeah. And Mike too. There you go. We're good. Now we're good.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Now, remember, Hannah, you remember? One of the parents from Ferguson, didn't she win an office? She ran.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, the mom.
Yes.
Ran and won a seat on the board in Ferguson. So somebody asked me,
Jimmy, I don't want Minnesota to become another Ferguson, because we talked about the violence in Ferguson more than we talked about the woman you just talked about. Let me tell y'all something. Minnesota, y'all got to understand, the police chief is black. Jimmy, the police chief is black. Jimmy, but Jimmy, not just there. What about Brunswick, Georgia, where they killed Aubrey, the guy Aubrey? Jimmy, we can go there. We can go on and on and on. We just got to mature ourselves politically. And I know you don't like to, well, I don't want to vote. We have to be mature politically. And in the coming days, we're going to talk about it, how to become more mature politically. Because, and guess what? We're going to use our platform. We're going to use sports. Let me tell you something, man. Those athletes are the most powerful thing. And guess what? All of them don't know how to speak about this thing. So don't get mad if they don't speak up. Let's get that straight. All of them don't understand about this stuff. But guess what? They can empower the people around us. So Jimmy, you got a special day going on. You got some guys, man. Let me tell you something. You got grassroots royalty on this show today. I don't know how you put it together. Y'all, Jimmy Hicks did this. I'm not going to take. Let me tell you something. The Don of Houston got the Dons of Chicago, the Dons of New York. I mean, Jimmy, the Dons of Jimmy. It's unbelievable. I'm going to let you take over, and I'm just going to enjoy the ride today. What you got in store for the people?
Man, I mean, speaking of royalty, I mean, what we're going to do is the conversation started a few weeks ago, and somebody and one of the college coaches, we were talking about who has the greatest grassroots program ever. And what happens is when you start to have that conversation, some people will start naming a team from a particular year. Then some people will name some players that were the faces of the program and were, of significant stature. And they'll go in there, or they'll tell you a certain era when this team ran, didn't lose a game, or went 58-1 as a Riverside Church did one year, as Gary Charles mentioned. But guess what? That's not the question, or that's not the conversation either.
What's the conversation?
The conversation is who has the greatest grassroots program ever. And so here's some of the ground rules before we dive into this pool.
Okay.
One is, when you're talking about ever, That means everybody's not going to start the same year, not going to end the same year. Different people have different spans. There's lines and there's line segments. But at the same time, number one, when you get to this conversation, it ain't about how many Division I players that you produce. That ain't what you measure the top grassroots teams, programs ever. Remember, I said programs, not teams. Programs.
I like this.
Right? Big difference. What you measure these guys by is, number one, how many McDonald's All-Americans, how many pros. Also, how many coaches from your program has advanced to the collegiate level. See, now, those three is all it takes. And if you're not in this conversation, then flip the channel. You know,
I sure got a question. You just added a caveat that I didn't know about the coaches going to high level. That's a whole nother caveat. Keep going.
That's part of the program, isn't it?
Okay.
That's part of the program. So first up, today we're going to have 3 different representations from programs across the country.
Okay.
And guess what? We're not done with the conversation. We'll continue on another week.
Oh, yeah.
In about 2 weeks, we're continuing. But first up, we got 3 that's going to make their case to prove to you guys that they have the greatest grassroots program ever. First up, out of Chicago, Illinois, we got 2 siblings. We got the first, they're known as the first family at one time of grassroots.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying?
I agree.
They're known as the first family of grassroots basketball. And this is the Irvin family. Who was the patriarch of this family was the late, great Mac Irvin.
Yes, sir.
Mac Irvin founded the Mac Irvin Fire. I don't know what Mac Irvin was eating back then. He was my guy. Great man. Called me. We rolled to the Soul Food Shack. I remember when earphones first came out with the new kind with the wide, not the wireless, but the kind of the wide and this. He was like, yeah.
He had.
Got to give me a pair of them, because back then everybody had the other kind. He took a funness, and that's what it is, game recognized game. Old, how you say, we use the term loosely, but old heads recognize good young heads that coming into the game. And this Mac Irvin embraced me years ago. I'm talking like the first, second year up in this. I was coaching 15U. We went up to DePaul University with the Hayes Select program. My cousin Wayne and Ray Johnson on it. They had Lawrence Roberts and all those guys. And Tag Minor was a name. I went up there, and guess what? He took me and treated me as though he had known me for 10 years. He met me the next time, he treated me like he had known me for 30 years. Next time he met me, treated like he known me for 50 years. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what he was eating, Hatter. But every time he laid an egg, it was a boy. I'm talking about, it seemed like, it was a boy. We got him right now. We got Mike Irvin and Nick Irvin from the famed program, Mac Irvin Fire. Now, mind you, one is a college coach now, so it's limited on, we're not understanding, NCAA guideline, this is a gray area. For us compliance and stuff, we're talking about the past. So we're not, that way you can't see much, but guess what? They're with us right now today, Nick and Mike Irvin from the days of remembering the days of the late, great Mac Irvin and the Mac Irvin Fire. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Man, you see, I just set up, man, because I know what he was going to do. I just shut up, man. But, man, I'm just so proud to have y'all, man, on this show, man. He talked about your dad, almost brought tears to my eyes. Your brother lives in Houston. Great, great guy. Hey, Jimmy, this is the first family, Jimmy. They not only got a program, their brother was a pro. See that? You didn't mention that. The brother was a pro.
Yeah.
You follow me? So let me tell you something, man. I'm just so proud to have y'all on the Chop Shop today, man. Especially, see, Nick been on here. This Mike first time, I think. Because it's hard to catch time. Mike, Jimmy, you had to go through the Secret Service almost to get Mike. Mike guarded. But what's up, gentlemen? Welcome to the Chop Shop, man.
Man, thank you for having us out. I done heard so much about the Chop Shop. Like you said, Nick probably been on it, but I done did my history on it and did my research on
it. What you got, Nick?
Nick, you mute.
No, I heard him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chief, that was a heck of an introduction, man. I appreciate you, man. You know, Pops loved you, boy.
Man, I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
for real, man. That was, seriously, I had not, when you talk about like pedigree, I had no resume in grassroots basketball back during that time as far as when he met me. And it was just one of those things where a guy just happened to recognize me. And this was before, understand, this was before, this was in the year, summer of 2000 when I met him. And so it wasn't like I just jumped into this stuff and was just going through coaching 15U, 16U. And it was like he took out the time and was just conversing. I didn't know who he was. I just know, oh, that's Mac Irvin. I didn't know. I didn't been able to connect no dots.
Right.
But it was, we looking around and had big Eddie Curry at that time playing and all those guys representing the program. So now tell us a little bit about this Mac Irvin program. When was it founded? And did you guys and when was it founded? And what compelled you guys to feel obligated to continue to serve through the Mac Irvin Fire?
Well, the program was founded when the AAU first started. I think we first started back in, my father just been involved with Grassroots forever, back in the 80s. He started off, just helping out kids, inviting them to camp, doing different things, inviting them to the Nike camps, inviting them, to different college camps and, helping out all the kids in the 80s. And then I know when I came up in 93, 92, when I was coming through the circuit, he grabbed the team from me, So that was the team that had the 2 7-footers from King on it, Rashad Griffin, Tommy Hamilton. Yeah. And then that's when we started. We had Antoine Walker on that team. So that's when that's when that era got going. We was called Team Illinois at that moment. And then probably like 3-4 years later, they moved to Illinois Warriors. And then that's when Nick came in. And then Nick had all them great teams he was involved in with Melvin Eli, Sergio McClain, all the teams that Nick played for. And then the Warriors went on, Nick, for how long?
The Warriors, after Pops he started his own program from there after like 98. In 98, it started after my years being with them.
Illinois Warriors, right? Illinois Fire. Then it went to Illinois Fire, So then what happened was when we changed the Mac Irvin Fire in 2006, I think. Was it 6, Nick?
Yeah, 6 once he retired. Once he retired. So once he retired, we took over the program. I said, God damn, I had to recruit. I had to get out here and recruiting and going and try to find all these players and this new generation. I said, shit, I got to do something. So I sat down with Pops. I said, Pops. I sat down with Pops. I said, Pops, I got to change the name. He said, what you mean? I said, I got to change the name to your name. Shit, everybody know you. It makes my job easier. Create a website. Change it to Mac Irvin. And then I put the flyers out there because, back then, I was into the parties. I was a promoter. So I was at some of them. Promote. You know what I'm saying?
Hey. I can tell you guys a story later on, but keep going.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going, man.
Yeah. So I was a promoter back then. So I said, man, you know what? Dad, I'm going to change the name. I'm going to put some flyers out. Mac Irvin Fire. We come in. We taking the program because we all had high school kids. Then I said, we taking the program down to grammar school kids. And we just going to hit everybody. And then once we hit everybody, we put them flyers out there. We put his name out there. Man, we took it. Man, that started me and Nick Aaron. We took it to a whole nother level. That's when the Jabari Parkers came. That's when Jaleel came. They all came as grammar schoolers at that time. And then the high schoolers, we still was like one of the top teams in the country. But what's so crazy, we didn't even have, when we transitioned from Adidas to Nike, then that's when Nike came. Once we changed the name, that's when Nike came. That's when they came because we locked up all the players and then we was winning all kind of tournaments. And then that's when Nike came. And that's when we went from Adidas to Nike.
That's right.
And the crazy thing about it, when we switched the name, Pops was like, oh, okay, all right. But when we put them hot jerseys on, he was like, oh, that's my name on there, huh? he was a little shocked to see it because he used to send, Illinois Fire and stuff like that. But one thing that when me and Mike was switching the name over, we said, man, we got to get some pretty uniforms, man. Because he always said, man, them uniforms got to be pretty now. Right. So when he said the name on the chest and he was like, Mac Irvin, he was like, oh, man, y'all outdone yourself. Y'all got some nice uniforms and everything. Yeah. So,
and then in the process also, just one quick point is when we switched over to Nike, Pops was with Nike first. Yes. He was back with Nike back in the 80s. Yes. So it was easy to switch over back to Nike because he still knew everybody from the Nike town. So when Sonny went to Adidas, that's when he switched over to Adidas. And then that's when me and Nick came on and we went back to Nike.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about that time, the last switch. That was during the time when Adidas was making some extractions. And you weren't the only program that decided to jump sneaker lines from Adidas to Nike. And a lot of people, it caught a lot of people around the country by surprise. And tell us about what went into making that decision to leave Adidas the last time and get back over to Nike.
Well, I'll start off touching on it and Nick can finish, but I think that the easiest thing was when switching over was Adidas. Once Sonny left, it wasn't Adidas. No, it wasn't the same Adidas. Oh. You had people that was involved in there that couldn't really run it like Sonny ran it. Because Sonny had a lot of programs. He was more relationship oriented. He talked to everybody, and it was a different kind of feel. So when I came along, when me and Nick came along, and then we got going, Nike had that feel that was already in place, and then we knew the people that was going in, that started working, like Joaquin was in there, Jeff Rogers was in there. So we knew the people that was in there. So once that they brought us in the family and they kept meeting with us, we just said, well, this is the feel we want, because that Adidas feel, it wasn't the same. Nick can probably tell you more about the Adidas feel because I was kind of, back then I was doing a party. So Nick was kind of, Nick was right there with Adidas, so he could tell you about that feel.
Well, Pops, when after Sonny left, Pop's a loyal guy. Him and Sonny is like brothers. So, everything was changing. Everything was changing with Adidas. Different, people was coming aboard and, they was, kind of looking at my father like, oh, this Sonny guy and everything. There's a lot of stuff going on internally and everything. So, when Pops decided just to go on and give me and Mike the program, I went to Mike and talked to Pops about it and said, man, it might be a time to make a switch. Might be time to, go over to another side. We knew in this, we trying to do our thing and everything. So he was like, that's y'all call. That's y'all call. But, the feel wasn't there. Sonny, like Mike said, Sonny put everything together, orchestrated everything. And my father been with Sonny since the 80s. And one thing my father always teaches is about loyalty. It's about staying loyal to people that's loyal to you. So me and Mike decided just to go in another direction. And that the rest is history from there.
Wow. Unbelievable.
We don't have it.
Oh, no. I just, what's so unique, I didn't have the advantage, Mike and Nick, to meet Sonny. And I've been hearing people talk about him because when I got in the game, with Penny, we were Nike. So I didn't never just have a chance to really, Sonny was the enemy to me. I mean, not really to me, but I never got a chance because none of my clients, we was riding that Nike train then, right? So
which is good.
Yeah, it was a good train. But you know what's so unique, man? I never got a chance to meet him. And then people been talking about how great of a man he was. I've read certain things about him, read books about him. But I just hate that I didn't get a chance to meet him. Tell me what I missed. Tell me what I missed about Sonny Vaccaro.
Because Sonny, he just had that feel to himself where he come in a room, he lights up a room, and he man, he was good. He was a good person. So every time you see Sonny, he reach out, he talk to you, he speak to you, he hold conversations with you. I mean, I never not seen him hold a conversation with anybody. So that means he made everybody feel like they was good people, you know. So when he was doing all that, Sonny was just, you know, and then plus he was smart. What's even crazy is Sonny and George Rival was best friends, you know. So you talking about two of the pioneers of this world that was best friends too when they was coming up, that they both had that basketball vision. But Sonny, you know, Sonny was just unbelievable.
Yeah, Sonny was just one of a kind. He strategized. He thought things over. He kept people close to him that respected him, and he respected them. And you know, like still to this day, I still reach out to him and talk to him because he, you know, coming up in a game when I was playing, he was there for me when I was playing at the ABCD camp. Him and my father been friends, or I call them brothers, blood brothers, because they've been together forever. And the thing with him, he just made you feel comfortable, made you feel like you're doing a great job all the time. And, you know, he always looked out for you. He always looked out for you and cared for you. And, you know, it's a number of things I could say about Sonny Vaccaro, but we ain't on the show for a long time. So, you know, I just want to keep it short and sweet, man. He's a wonderful person. Pam Vaccaro, his wife, was unbelievable as well. And, you know, I just give everything to Sonny and give up to him. He laid the platform down for a lot of kids coming up, and he orchestrated and did it.
Well, I do have a Sonny story, okay? So as a guy that, like not a mentor, but a guy that I looked to for advice one time, and he knows Sonny real well. So he was telling me, he said, man, those guys in Houston, he said, when Sonny walks in a gym, he said, whenever Sonny walk in a gym, every player start playing harder. They start playing better because they knew if they was a pro, he could get them there, right? So, and the dude said, Robert, that's how when you walk in a gym in Houston, that's how, this the compliment he gave me. He said, what you've done in this business, those guys, when you walk in that gym, those guys be saying, that guy there, if he could do it for Penny, Michael Red, Rashard Lewis, imagine he can do it for me. When he gave me, see, I never met Sonny, but he said that's the power and the aura that Sonny had. When he walk in the gym, guys think, man, I must have a chance then.
Yeah, because when he put his stamp of approval on you, it was over. You know, it was over with, and he had an eye for talent. He had an eye for talent, and he just knew who was. And if you was right there, he'd tell you what to do to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Jimmy, what you got?
Yeah, and that was.
Oh, go on, Mike. Go.
That was one thing. Hello.
You good? It's just your earpiece, Mike. You good?
Oh, okay. Okay. One thing about Sonny, his eye for talent was unbelievable. Like he knew players. He knew players before they was pros. Like he knew them. You know, it's hard to identify that superstar, that pro, because everybody now think if I get a kid 6'9", he can handle it. He's a star. He's gonna be a pro. Sonny knew the difference. You know what I'm saying? and that's what made him special.
Yeah.
I mean, indeed. So now the atmosphere you mentioned, and the funness and the family. I guess the organization and the grasp of family back in those days. And I remember, you know, with your father, with Mac Irvin, and how during those times, I would like for you to explain the atmosphere. I know Grassroots has changed a lot over the past decade and a half or 2 decades, but back then, what was the difference? I'm not talking about the talent yet, but as far as the family atmosphere from back in those days, you know, under with Sonny versus nowadays family.
I think when you say the family atmosphere, one difference I see now that I didn't see back in the day was, man, everybody got their father involved now. Like back in the day, you didn't have, like, fathers wasn't really taking care of them kids, but if they wasn't taking care of them, you know, they'll come around after high school once they make it to the pros. But now the fathers, some of the fathers not taking care of them, but they'll come around high school now. And now the families, they want to be the managers now. They want to be the agents now. They want to be, you know, everybody got a 2-parent home now. You know, everybody got a 2-parent home now. You know, they might not be doing what they're supposed to do at home, but they 2 parents when it comes to making this money. And everybody want to take the kids now and be agents and managers when really, you know, they don't even have the education or the knowledge to be that. You know, so it's a lot of kids getting messed up by that than more so than back in the day. Back in the day, they'll let a Sonny Vaccaro or, you know, whoever take them to the next level. Now they not doing that. They wouldn't care about no Sonny or nobody else. This my kid. This is we making the money and we gonna make the mistakes, you know, and there's a lot of mistakes being made now from back in the day.
Yeah, Mike hit it on all points, but you know, I'm gonna go a little further with it. You know, guys, when I was coming up coaching AAU basketball, they used to sit me down and say, "Now listen here, man, this is how I go." You know, my father was there. He was talking to me and telling me how things go. Now, don't open your mouth now. You know, sit your butt down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, people coming in just running, ain't been taught the game. You know, so I've been taught the game from a number of people out here, from a number of OGs out here that's in the game. You know, I still to this day, I sit down with Boo Williams and pick his brain on a lot of stuff because he been through it all. He's seen it all. So, you know, that's what one thing guys need to do right now is reach out back out to them and talk to them and sit them down and they can explain how this thing used to be. That's why we probably still successful to this day because we knew what it was back then. So we implemented how they took care of business and keep it now. And, you know, I just learned a lot from it. When I was in AAU basketball, I just learned a lot from it and sit back there and pick my father's brain so much.
Mike, I'm so glad you brought that up because sometimes when I bring stuff up like that, Mike, it sounds self-serving, you know, because of the industry I'm in. But you just brought it up. Jimmy, and I'm not going. Jimmy took me to dinner. We went to dinner with 2 parents one time, and I never forget it. And I sit there and listen and listen. I know Jimmy was wondering, but Robert, why didn't you put why did 2 parents of prospective NBA players? And I know he was wondering why didn't I put the SmackDown or why didn't I put my bid in with him? But these 2 parents knew it all, Mike. I just sit back there and said, I've been doing this shit for 30, excuse me, Lord. I've been doing this stuff for 30 years. And they just sit there like they know every damn thing. I promise you. I told Jimmy, I don't listen to me, Mike, listen. I don't want to represent now one of them. And Mike, if you ask me how they doing in the NBA, one never made it, and one damn near on the way out of that month. One day. And all they had to do is sit down and listen. This was an informal dinner. All they had to do is ask me questions. See what then happened, Mike? Everybody want to be an agent now, right? So they talking to everybody. I like him. I like the way he smell. I like the way you smell too. I like the way. Listen, y'all. I told Jimmy. I know Jimmy was looking at me like, "How do you ain't even said nothing about?" Man, I sit there and listen to them two. I shouldn't have said mama. Parents. I went there, sit there and listen to them two. And Mike, I said, I don't even want to be in this situation because this situation is not going to be good. And guess what, Mike? It wasn't good. So thank you.
It wasn't good.
Thank you. Now listen to me, y'all. That's coming from a guy whose brother been in the league, whose brother's an agent. His dad is a patriot. I mean, when you go to Chicago, like when I went up there and spent some time when Penny was in the Olympics, preparing for the Olympics, I got to know these guys. This Antoine Walker. I mean, these guys really ran Chicago, right? So it's just unbelievable. Nick just said, man, I listen to the old guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I listen to the guys
Yeah.
with wisdom. It's
Yes, sir.
guys around here don't even have a client and might not ever get a client. They got it going on because they done took a test. They done took a test and passed a dumbass test that anybody can pass.
You know,
But you know what's crazy? But you know what's crazy about it all is, I tell people like this: if I blew out my knee and I'm going to have surgery,
No, you got to come back.
Do my surgery.
Hold up, Mike. Hold up, Mike. You got to come back and say that again, Mike, because
If you blew out your knee,
you kind of went out. You got to come back and say that one more time. Say that one more time. I like this.
Okay, I told them it's like doing a surgery. If I blew out my knee, I want the surgeon with experience, the doctor with experience to do my surgery. I don't want that new person doing it. I don't want my mom and dad doing my surgery. They have no experience in this. They don't know nothing about this. You know, and that's the problem we having with this new generation.
Yeah, I mean, with this new generation, they need to basically ask questions, see how we did it in the past, and you know, go from there.
They don't respect
it. And soak up the knowledge, you know, like I did.
Say, look, y'all playing volleyball with that thing. Y'all know damn well they ain't how these parents ain't trying to hear that. Y'all sit there playing.
No. We know they ain't trying to hear it, but we get examples. Now you're wondering why the NBA the way it is.
Yeah.
When Kevin Garnett came on and started talking about him being entitled, and everybody in the grassroots talking about, man, what are he talking about us? This stuff that he's talking about, man. Because if you're an uncoachable kid, you're going to be an uncoachable adult. And you cannot sit here and think you know this thing, man. You don't know all it is to know about this thing. This thing is fluid. Coach, guess what? You learn every day about this. I can imagine the stuff that y'all been, all them pros y'all had on y'all team.
Yeah.
I can imagine what y'all had to go through.
Yes.
Hold on, man. I got to tell the people this. If y'all don't get a chance to go to the EYBL, right? If a lot of people don't, sometimes they don't. I came and looked at y'all bench one time. I saw them big old dudes sitting on the bench. They didn't get in the game. Hold on, y'all. And how I can tell how tall they were. When they were sitting down, their legs almost taller than me when their legs sit down. I said, oh my God, these little mom and pop teams think they can come on this circuit here. They got 7-footers sitting on the bench, y'all. Just in case you didn't know. You know, I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to go there. But Mike, some of these parents think, man, my son, okay. Jimmy, where you want to go? Don't let me hijack the thing. Jimmy, where you want to go with this?
Well, I ask you guys, back in a lot of cities during the revolution, that's what I call it, of grassroots basketball, almost 2 decades ago, about 15 years ago or so, there were a lot of cities. What we saw was the increasage of the visibility of sneaker-sponsored programs emerging in certain markets, which that's part of the, that's the American way. But I want to ask you guys that in Chicago, I remember Mac Irvin Fire was on the Adidas side, and I remember the Illinois Warriors was on the Nike side at the time. And then it was another team that came into the equation around about 5 years in to the millennium, was the Mean Streets. What I want to ask you, Mean Streets came into the Nike side. That was a team with Derrick Rose. They got a program. At that moment, was that pivotal for Chicago for the better of good? Or did it just F up the city?
You know what? When Mean Streets came in as first, I'm glad you mentioned that, because of the Illinois Warriors That was my father. That was my father started that program. But what happened was when some people get greedy, then they want to, break off. So that's what happened with that. So that still was an extension of my dad. His imprint was still in that one. And then Mean Streets came along. My dad helped out Mean Streets. That was a guy, football player named Ty Streets.
Yes.
They was all from the Harvey. Yeah, they was all from the suburbs of Chicago. And my dad was, if you notice back then, they played in all these tournaments because my dad was, my dad was just all about helping kids. That's all he wanted to do. So the more people that was helping the kids the right way, he was fine with that. It was the people that the wrong way was helping the kids that he had the problem with. So back when they came along, Chicago was a big market. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad thing. Main Street was an okay thing. The Warriors was still, was kind of like, on the outs back then because, as you know, AAU, it gets older. Then the people who running it, they got to have newer people. And I don't think that program was still, they was operating with the old people. But there's nothing wrong with it if they in it for the right intentions.
Now, we got a couple of questions for you guys on the feed. And then quickly, Jason asked, can you tell us whatever happened to Jared G., Mr. Basketball in 1989?
Nick played with Jared G.
I don't know what. I played with Jared G. I played with Jared G. at St. Martin de Porres for a year. Jerry G went on to play at Illinois and everything, and actually, I just talked to him on a chat on Facebook earlier, maybe a couple weeks ago. He doing good for himself, and he got some kids coming up playing and everything. So, Jerry G doing good. He doing real good.
And also want to give a shout out. Dexter Young from Chicago says, "Tell both of you guys what's happening." He lives in
What's
Houston.
up, Dex?
And Dexter, he works with the Jack Yates High School basketball program with Greg Wise. He works out a lot of the guys. So it's a small world.
Yeah, Dex good. That's our boy, Dex.
Yeah, Dex family, man.
Hey, Mike and Nick, yeah. Lance Irvin is on the feed too now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, Lance.
Yeah, he on the feed.
What's up, L.I.?
Yeah. And
Lance should have came on with us.
Do y'all know Ossie Davis?
Yeah.
O.C. Davis the third. O.C. Yeah.
Hey, another OG. Another OG. I get knowledge from him too.
Okay, that's good. What's up, gentlemen? Yeah. What else you got, Jim?
Now, excuse me about that, guys. That was somebody outside the gate, so I was letting them know. But guys, here's one to ask right now. Let's get right to the meat. What makes Mac Irvin Fire the greatest grassroots program ever?
I think, I think we definitely in that conversation is because of longevity. When you can cover, the 80s, the 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020, all them decades that we've been covering the ground we've been covering, and to do it at a high level, that means we're doing something right, and the parents like what we're saying and what we're doing with the kids. I mean, we constantly getting pros in, and now we constantly getting McDonald's All-Americans, through the program. So we're still doing the things that our father has left in place, and that's a big thing to us. When you talk about his legacy, everything he done, I think that's what make us one of the greatest AAU programs, because we're still doing it.
Well, I'm out the game now. I'm a college coach. I'm a college coach now. West Illinois, let's give them a shout out.
Yeah,
but
tell them where you are. Tell them again where you're coaching at.
Western Illinois. I just became the new assistant coach there.
Oh man, hold on. Hold on. I got something for Nick. Yeah, that's for Nick right there.
And you also have a brother. You have a brother, a sibling, who's also a college coach as well, right?
At Chicago State. So it's a family affair right now. Actually, we want to play a game against each other one day.
So Lance, the head coach at Chicago State. Then you got Nick, the assistant coach at Western. Then you got our sister-in-law who just left high school last year, Now she went to the what is it, NAIA St. Xavier now?
Yeah, NAIA St. Xavier. And
so
she got Coach of the Year this year. First year
she
there.
got Coach of the Year, so she should be moving to the D1 rank soon.
Wow. And so now, how many NBA players have Mac Irvin Fire produced?
I mean, man, I kind of lost track of the list. And let me give a shout out, but hold on. Let me give a shout out to our guy Steve Hudson. He just passed a COVID-19, and he the one. Yeah, he was right by my father's side when he was doing all this all the way through, because Nick was out, I was out, doing my thing, and we never, but he was by his side, so he had all the knowledge and the list of everybody who came through. And actually, since he just passed from COVID-19, maybe 4 weeks ago, once Cheat Sheet, you called me, I was trying to get the list together. But man, it's a big list, man, that I was trying to. I stopped at about 70 that went through the NBA, but I missed. Yeah, that went through the NBA. That my father, between us and our father. But that's touching about 5 decades, and I probably missed some people.
Yeah.
I probably missed some people.
It's a lot of touch that wood there now.
I don't know, man. You coming up, you throwing a number like 70 out there. You had to come with some receipts at some point in time, because we got other programs want to know. They got to put their receipts up. You had to put your receipts up.
Hey, Jimmy, I got a question, Jimmy. Jimmy, that picture you sent me. What picture you just sent me? I couldn't put it up. I was trying to put it up.
No, we're going to put that up. That's for later on.
Oh, that's for later on. Okay.
That's for the New York Gauchos.
Okay.
That's the NBA from the Gauchos. Now, today, of course, you guys from the Nike side of things, EYBL, give us what are you guys expecting for this year? Will there be any grassroots season in the fall?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll do the best I can by watching MSNBC. I watch CNN. I watch, the different outlets, and I don't know, but I do know one thing. I mean, I didn't know several people got hit with this COVID-19. We didn't know a few people that died from it. I do know it's serious. A lot of people not taking it serious. Mm-hmm. They really want to get back in the gyms. I don't mind getting back in the gyms, but it has to be safe. And it has to be, some type of testing in place. But this all I was saying. I was saying if the NBA is being in a bubble and they got to do it where they trying to go be in a bubble in Orlando and kind of shield everybody off from it, I don't know how we can do it on a grassroots level properly if it's not done like that. Or, one thing about grassroots is about families. So if these families can't come in the building, you got to test the families, you got to test. I don't know how it's going to be done, without fans and families. I don't know. I mean, if somebody got some answers, let me hear it, but I don't want to sacrifice the elderly to try to play some basketball either, because I don't want these kids taking it home to the grandparents, taking it home to their aunts and uncles, and they the ones that's passing from it. It ain't too many of the young people passing from it. It's the older ones. So, I mean, I'm all about basketball, but I'm all about safety too. So if somebody got some answers, then I'd love to hear. But right now, I haven't heard. We had a meeting with Nike about a month ago. Now we're supposed to meet again soon. But right now, they haven't gave us any information yet on how we gonna proceed. So we just waiting on the information.
Now I want to ask you, Nick, as we get ready to land the plane, give us your all-time starting five for Mac Irvin Fire. Give us your starting five. I don't care about power forward, center. Give us who you putting on the court. Give us your starting five right now. And remember, Pop's looking down on you right now as you about to name the starting five.
I got it. Oh man, I'm going over my list now. I know I gotta go with Antoine Walker.
Oh yes,
okay, that's right there now.
Antoine Walker, my first pick. But you gotta go with Jabari Parker, Jaleel Okafor, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like them.
I mean, we was on the show last week, so me and Nick kind of accumulated that together. And I can kind of break it down. I mean, I can kind of break it down. I mean, one thing, like Jalen Brunson, won Player of the Year, so you got to go with him. You know, he edged out some people, but he won Player of the Year in college. Then you got to go with Tim Jr. The reason why we went with Tim Jr. because Tim Sr. was part of my father's regime, you know. So
wow.
So yeah,
Uncle Brian, like it's a lot of them.
yeah, he the one that sent Tim to college. You know, he the one that got Tim Floyd to get Tim Hardaway a scholarship when Tim was down in UTEP.
Yeah.
So when Tim was in UTEP, so we got to put Junior on there because the relationship we had with Senior. And then that front line, you know, Jabari #1 in the country, Jaleel Oakford #1 in the country, Antoine Walker #2 in the country. So we gotta go with that. You know.
If we was going with people my father touched, it would have been really crazy.
Oh, it would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, look here. We at the end of the road. We gotta land this plane, man. We definitely appreciate and thanks so much for taking us to a blast to the past with the Mac Irvin Fire, man. Guess what, man? It's always great hearing from you guys. Yes. It's great to enlighten not only us but the rest of the viewing community on the Chop Shop about your about the road that you've traveled. A lot of people just don't know. They see you guys walking through the gym and have no idea, you know, that Nick is at Western Illinois or Lance is down at Chicago State, you know, and then you have Byron who's living in Houston right now, you know, that's in the sports representation business, you know, and your family. Guess what? Indeed, as it stands, one thing that we can attain to and agree to is that you guys are indeed the first family of grassroots basketball, and we will not let anybody forget or act like they don't know. That's the thing that we're going to do with the Mac Irvin Fire.
And Jim, I'd like to add young people. When you get a chance to meet these guys right here, they are OGs now. Glean from them. Get information from them. You see what they did. They went and got information. That's why they successful. So go get information. These are walking encyclopedias right here on this show. So go and ask them stuff. Don't be all proud, man. I ain't with Mac Irvin Fire. I don't want that. Hey, go ask. Walking Black History right here, man. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you so much. And until the next time, just do me a favor. When you go off the air, just push the red button. It'll take you off the call. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, big guy. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man.
That was good.
Of course.
Thanks for having us, man.
I like
man,
that.
Nick and Mike Irvin, guys.
I like that, man. That was fun. That was fun.
I had the story for you guys. Mike Irvin's, his parties, Hannah, was the parties. Understand? He was the Diddy of the party scene.
Yes.
He was the promoter. Remember that story tonight that I told you that we was in the spot and Jimmy Butler came up to me and say, I remember you.
That was that party you couldn't get in.
That had me ranked low. Jimmy Butler was playing in Chicago at the time, and we was in Chicago at one of the spots that Mike Irvin was doing a promo at. And it was funny as hell. We in the VIP, and that was the hell of a. I mean, it's so many different stories. That's the thing about relationships, as a lot of you guys are watching the Chop Shop,
right?
And we try to explain to you that a lot of times you see trees, but what you don't see is the roots. You don't see the seeds that were sowed before those trees sprouted. And this is what one of the things that we're trying to share with you guys, and we made the pledge to share a lot of these seeds that were planted. When I came into this game, I wasted no time planting seeds. And now, you can tell the conversations. These aren't, and on one thing, just for you, a lot of you first time viewers, the Chop Shop, we don't do interviews. We have conversations. Because interviews, you don't really know the person. That's formality. You got to do this and do that. No, it's conversations.
Right.
We're chopping it up.
Right.
This conversation would have been no different had I had me a good cold one right on the side of me. Had we been out, had we been hanging, it wouldn't have been no different. Probably a lot more cursing. Other than that, so of course, that's the thing I want you to think about. And as we go, we want to help you to be able to know, to connect and understand what's going on. And so what we do is coming up next, our next guest, right, that we are expecting to join us, and he's having he's in the dressing room right now, so to speak, Haller.
Okay.
And in the dressing room, he needs you to tell him he's going in the wrong room, so to speak. Not the first time. You know, you're going to dress, you think you're going to stage, and you're really supposed to be going to stage 1. So that's the thing. That we were going to be joined by the Julio Smith with the Atlanta Celtics. This is a program that has been, another program that was founded by a guy that has been revered around the country. That's Wallace Prather, and he's passed away a few years ago. And I got a chance to meet him, and I saw him in the gym. I'm talking about meet a person and connect with him. It was around about 2004 when I connected with, maybe 2005, with Wallace Prather. That was because Josh Smith, Dwight Howard, that team came out in 2004. So he came to Houston because Josh dad had a great relationship with John Lucas, and they came and worked out in Houston. Wallace came down and because his relationship with Luke. And so when they go to Luke's workouts, Luke at that time had 2-3 workouts a day. Yes. But he had what they call the pre-draft camp. And at that time, during that time of the year, a lot of the guys would come to Luke and prepare for the NBA draft. Well, when they between sessions, a lot of guys, what do they do? A lot of the visitors, the players will go and rest at their hotels. But a guy like Wallace Prather, know what he want to do? He want to know where the soul food shack is. So guess who got to take him on the soul food runs and show him different spots in H-Town on different days? And that's why we end up connecting. And it was a great thing being able to know a lot of these guys. For real, actually know them and get to know them. That's the thing that I love. That I was trading into a relationship. Today. And they were on the Adidas circuit back then, and back in the days, you remember Mac Irvin Fire. You remember the Atlanta Celtics when it came to the family. Those were year after year. You saw their name on the schedule. It's like, oh hell, it don't even matter. You knew that was some fire, some quote unquote fire coming. But we have with us right now one of the program directors of the Atlanta Celtics right now, and this is Julio Smith joining us right now in the Chop Shop in Atlanta. What's going on, Julio?
My man Hicks, what's happening with you?
Man, hey, I see everybody coming on.
Man, I ain't been in 2 months. I ain't been in 2 months. I'm gonna wait till it calm down just a little. I don't want to be the test case.
Hey man, great to have you on here, man. We just got off the phone with got the show with the Mac Irvin Fire group. And now tell us a little bit about the Atlanta Celtics, man. When was it founded? What year? Tell us what some of the notable alumni from the Atlanta Celtics.
The Atlanta Celtics was founded in I want to say 1991. It started out as a division of the City of Atlanta Parks and Recreation Department by Wallace Prather and Carl McRae. They both were City of Atlanta employees, and they used to have like the recreation basketball teams that started getting pretty good. And so as the team started getting good, they started accumulating talent. They went and started playing in AAU tournaments and started forming a AAU program. Well, actually, it was 5 different teams at first. It was the Lakers, the Celtics, all based off of NBA teams. And then they, with different coaches, they all decided to make one group, and then they ran with the name Atlanta Celtics.
And give us some of the notable alumni so people can take us. I mean,
some of the notable alumni: Deion Glover, Jermaine Jones, Jonathan Hargett, BJ Elder, Ishmael Muhammad, Dwight Howard, Josh Smith, Javaris Critterton, Chris Singleton, Howard Tompkins, Derek Favors, Kevin Ware, Jordan McCray, Ryan Harrow, Jordan Adams, Shaquille Goodwin, Tim Quarterman. Most of you guys I'm naming either played professionally in the NBA or overseas. Kobe Simmons, Josh Langford, up to EJ Montgomery. We don't had our fair share of players over the years.
Yes, sir. hey, we played against one of them. We played against a couple of them. Woo-hoo. My goodness. Yeah. Hey, man.
I mean,
Jim, I got to tell this story. That Derek Favors was a grown man in high school, man. Julio, y'all was wrong for that, man. Man, he was knocking little old John Henson around there. John held his own. But John said, man, that dude hit me in my chest one time, and it was over.
He was probably one of the biggest kids we done had in the program. Still to this day, like he a big kid. Derek just sit in the house, plays video games, and now he got 3 kids now. So he just spend time with them.
Yeah.
So now, what was the year you think that Atlanta Celtics thrust into a national power?
It was the summer of '96, no question. It was the summer of '96. That was the year that we had Deion Glover and Jermaine Jones. Deion kind of like ascended to be one of the top players in the nation. He was first team All-American, McDonald's All-American, and all that. And he was kind of like really on that path where we thought he was going to be the one, which he probably could have been, but he had a knee injury. Oh. He had tore his ACL, I want to say. That kind of was the setback. So that was the year that that team there was the team when Wallace and them first got their Adidas deal, when they hooked up with Sonny Vaccaro and got the Adidas deal.
And so now take us back through the journey. Of course, now the torch has been passed. The passion of Wallace Prather. Grassroots is obviously taking a different direction. It's not the same back then, but you can tell us, because you guys remain on the Adidas side forever. You're one of the longest tenured Adidas programs, are you not, for sponsorships?
Right now we are the longest tenured. It was right now we are the longest tenured. Considered the flash.
And so now at the time, when right at the point when Mac Irvin and I think a couple other teams, maybe 2 other programs left, decided to leave Adidas side of the fence and go over to Nike. Of course, that was after Sonny had.
Let me tell you something, man. Before it's funny because we all look up to Mac Irvin, the daddy. He was like one of the godfathers of this thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So we got the utmost respect for him. But man, I'll never forget. When they first left, that's when Sonny went to Reebok. You know what I'm saying? Man, I think Mac had 2 deals. I think he had his wife sign a deal with Reebok, and he had another deal. Hey,
I ain't mad at him.
The relationship definitely, man. I mean, it was something special. The dynamic to see that.
No question.
What made the Celtics remain in the fold and not follow or not go to the other side? So I know Wallace.
Wallace just Wallace was just, you know what I mean? Like, he was just always like, I'm my own man. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody going here, but let me hear what they got to say. Let me hear what Adidas got to say and what they're offering. And one, he felt comfortable with what they were saying, and and it also thrust him in a higher position of power, because now they need him. You know what I'm saying? If everybody else leaving and he's staying, now you got to listen to me. My suggestions, it made him want to do his own thing, being his own man, and so that's what led to it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just enjoying the ride. You got to understand, Jimmy. When I get to talk to Julio, and I mean, I just want to thank him on air. The time that I had a chance, Alan Branch hooked up a trip. That was one of my favorite trips ever in grassroots basketball. Julio, you took care of us, man. First, everything was first class. But that was the one time, Julio, we usually fly. But this time, I rented one of them luxury SUVs, right?
Right.
Next time I get a chauffeur, because I had to drive it and Coach Henderson had to drive it. Next time I get a chauffeur to drive for me. But it was just a unique trip. The kids loved it. We drove to Atlanta. We could pull the SUV up to the arena where we were playing at. And it was just a fun experience. That was one of the greatest trips. And all the kids, when they come back and talk to me, that was one of the finest trips. Because guess what? We came down there because we wanted to see a matchup between John Henson,
and Derek.
And Derek. And you also had DeMarcus Cousins was in your tournament. His team was in your tournament. Yeah.
DeMarcus played in all our events when he was coming up. Him and Derek used to go at it all the time. So
in those days, Alan Branch wanted to try to get John Henson to rise up in the ranking, so he had to go play them bad dudes down there. So it was a unique. I'll never forget it. And I thank you, man, on the air for taking care of us while we were there.
Well, I appreciate it.
Indeed. And so now, of course, I want to ask you this magic question. I asked the guys earlier in Atlanta Celtics.
Right.
Approximately how many players did you guys produce to the NBA during the inception? Since the program has been in existence.
Man, I wish I would have had it all together. I know it's in excess of 20 plus. I don't know the exact number, but you know what I mean. Like, it's definitely been 20 plus.
20 plus.
Yeah.
And about how many McDonald's All-Americans?
Let me see, because some of those guys that made it to the league actually didn't make it on this game. I can run it back now. Let me see. 97, you had Donnell Harvey. Donnell Harvey. Drop down, you had Dwight Josh Randolph. 07, Javaris. 08, Chris Singleton. 09, Derek Favors. Yeah, now 12, you had Shaq Goodwin. Then Kobe Simmons, Josh Langford, E.J. Montgomery. Them the ones I can kind of like right off the top of my head, just run back down through.
That's roughly about a dozen. And if you had to put your all-time starting five, Atlanta Celtics, who would you roll on the court?
Who would I roll on the court? Shit. I would go with Jonathan Hargett at the 1.
Okay.
I would go with Deion Glover at the 2.
Okay.
Dwight Howard at the 5.
Okay.
Donnell Harvey at the 4. And then I'd probably go with Josh Smith at the 3.
Okay, that's some good lint. I like that. And I like that. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Now, the new era of the Adidas, you guys think a lot of things I said have changed. You guys this year you are moving away from the gauntlet, well, incorporating a new division at the
Correct.
top of the Adidas, and
love
that
you to
is
see it.
Tell us about this shirt. What does that stand for?
3 SSB. It's three. My bad. Sorry.
That's all right.
3 Stripe Select Basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 Stripe Select Basketball. 3 SSB. It's the hashtag and stuff that they're using, the moniker that they're using for it.
What inspired that? And tell us, a little bit about it. What was going to be different with the 3 SSB than the gauntlet of all?
I think it's man, like it's just really kind of like about a little change. We got a new regime taking over, so anytime you have new people coming in to kind of like they want to put their own stamp on things, and so like I think they wanted to kind of like let's take what we had and try to elevate it, see if it was a way to make it better, what I mean, and kind of like brand it a little more. And they I think starting out they've been doing a good job at trying to do that before we had this little setback with the virus.
Mm-hmm. And so now, speaking of the setback, we know there's no Grassroots this summer. First, I want to ask you, with Atlanta Celtics, are you guys still planning to play games? And 2, will there be an Adidas 3 SSB circuit in the fall?
Well, I think that it all depends on what the NABC does. If they come give us some live periods, then I definitely think that we got to give these 2021 kids a chance to to be seen. Like the kids that's at the top, they fine. What I mean? But you always have those ones that bottom half. They need those games. They need to play. They need to be seen by college coaches. So that's ultimately what we in it for. So we definitely gonna give those kids a chance to play and be seen if God willing, if we're able to.
What are the safety precautions they taking down there? The vent operation or the vent operators are taking in your city. Have you been up on it?
No, we haven't even got that far because we haven't had an event going on that's went on yet. I've heard like talks that they're gonna limit the number of fans per team to be able to come in. The spectators are gonna be required to wear a mask. They're gonna be screening temperatures for everybody that walks through the doors. Those are just some of the things that I've heard, but we haven't made it that far yet. Like all our we got 3 or 2. We got 2 big multi-court facilities here, and they haven't opened back up yet.
Wow. Even just I'm sorry, Julio, even just for just people coming in and play, or they just hadn't opened back up, period?
They haven't opened back up for anything. Like we where we practice at, this week here they just opened it up, the doors for us. And but we still kind of like for our kids that's coming in, all the parents that come in, we ask them not to even come to practice, like sit in the car, don't even come in the building. But for those that just want to come in, they're required to wear a mask. They got to get screened, and then they got to sign a waiver.
Man, that's got to be hard for y'all, man. I'm sitting up here thinking about, because y'all got this dynamic. The kids want to play, and y'all know they're going to go do it somewhere else, and y'all got to try to police that and try to put them. Man, it's got to be, man. But guess what? I guess in these trying times, we got to become creative, because it's crazy.
Yeah,
we never think about this, Julio. I was thinking about this the other day, okay? People around 70, usually we live around 70 or 80 years old, okay? 80 years old, right? So, we know how to get through a hurricane. I know y'all done had hurricane. We know what to do after a tornado or, a snowstorm. Y'all done had the ice storm down there. Because we done had a few of those in our lifetime. So we know how to handle that. I thought about this. I said, imagine if we was 1,000, we could live to be 1,000 years old. all of us was 1,000 years old, right? So guess what? We would have lived through 5 or 6 pandemics, or 6 or 7 pandemics already. So we would understand this certain stuff you got to get through it. This kind of stuff. The problem with this thing is we too young, this generation too young. We don't know.
Never been seen before. Yeah, that's why that's why I've been telling everybody. Like, I mean, it's something we never seen before. It's just the best thing now is just try to, to do the best that we can and adjust to however it goes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's, I don't know. It happens so quick. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was like one day you thinking like this, the next thing you know, everything's shut down. You can't do nothing. Yeah, I think it caught everybody by surprise with that.
Man, indeed, the Final Four was going to be in Atlanta this year, so everybody was planning on snapping their finger in some form of fashion in that ATL. That
He just shook his head.
And so now, who I want to ask you? You are one of the administrators in the Grassroots division of Adidas.
Correct.
And so tell me this, in a perfect world, if you, I know differently, you mentioned earlier, different people want to put their fingerprints on things. If you could change or modify two things about Grassroots basketball, what would it be?
About Grassroots basketball, I love the way Grassroots basketball is. You know what I'm saying? I love the competitiveness, and I love the culture for the kids. One thing that I don't, you know what I'm saying, particularly agree with is the a lot of the NCAA restrictions on the kids. Like with the like with a lot of the way they're kind of like limited with everything. You have you have some kids that they ain't, they come from nothing. They ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? And if you try to give them some food, you know what I mean? Like you talking about they got to sit out 2-3 games. You know what I mean? I think that for an entity that makes billions of dollars a year, you know what I mean, to kind of like have that stranglehold on the, you know what I mean, like, and it comes basically with the minority kids. I think that's probably the only thing I really have a problem with.
Yeah. But so now, a couple of years back, there was an effort in Vegas, I think, to pit one of the top teams from one sneaker line umbrella against one another.
Correct.
Now, being that there's never been like a full sneaker program to be, present, as far as with their budgets on the grassroots scene, at the same time, then wouldn't you mind seeing a true grassroots championship?
Oh, no question. No question. Like, I'm gonna compare. I think we all competitors. You know what I'm saying? We all competitors. We want to play. You know what I'm saying? Like it be time where we go play in dead period tournaments because we hear other teams gonna be there. Teams that you normally win see on your normal circuit. You know what I'm saying? I call some of the directors like, where y'all gonna be? We looking for you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, you think you the shit? Where you gonna be at? You know what I'm saying? We gonna jump in there too. Yeah, no question. You know what I'm saying? I think if it was a way to have a unified champion, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of that comes from a lot of the, the different brands, and from their perspective, they want to protect this and protect that. And I don't get into all that, man. If you can play, you can play. You whoop my ass, you whoop my ass. You know what I'm saying? I want to play whoever the best.
That's unique, Jimmy. And Jimmy, I mean, wait a minute. You are an event operator. You know just as many people as Julio does. Why do you think it never happened?
Well, I think one is, as he just mentioned, to a lot of people want to protect their brands, and you understand now the one circuit director who who loses 2 or 3 years in a row, what happens to his job? So it would have to be some type of security on the boss that, okay, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But if you lose 2, 3 years in a row, then what happens? Then people are going to blame and say, well, hell, you're not getting the best players. Or if this your best team, then they're a little brother. And the perception can shift because as many people now, a lot of people, because of understand it is what it is, but the EYBL has a little bit more because of you can mention LeBron and the presence of their athletes in the gym and the concept of the Peace Jam, which is hell of a marketing that they've done to build it what it is. But at the same time, you could lose that lust by losing to the Adidas champion.
But Jimmy, all the time, the best players don't win the game.
Hey, look, I say it all the time. The best team don't always win.
The best players,
because I know we done had the best team. It's been time we had the best team, we lost. Yeah. We go in as an underdog, we won. You know what I'm saying? So it happens. You know what I mean? But Jim, you made a great point though. A lot of that it comes come down to the marketing aspect. I seen a commercial that one of the other company was doing. Like I guess they had a TV show or something that was coming on. They had about their circuit and their summer circuit. And LeBron was all over it, this and that, this and this and this. And, I was looking at it and I thought it was amazing, the way that they marketed that, because LeBron never played nothing but Adidas, in high school and growing up. You know what I'm saying? So to use this face to say about how the play on this is this, but he never did it. It was hell of a marketing.
Yeah, indeed, man. I mean, so I that's my, if I can have one wish for Christmas, I wish that it was one way that all 3 sneaker lines could have a pool play. They play each other.
Yeah, like if you go back to let's go back to like the late 90s, early to mid 2000s when you had the big time out in Vegas. Mm-hmm. That was a hell of a tournament. Like you damn near feel like you was in a 12-round fight if you can come through there and win that. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was there. So like when you to get back to that, because I'm like you, I don't like it the way everything's separated now. It leaves too much debate. You know what I'm saying? You want to say, well, if this would have happened, if this would have happened, or this could have, would have. Now let's play. You know what I mean? Like I think it was great a couple of years ago with what Keith Stevens and Ato did. Back what you were saying. Yeah. When they both of them ran through their prospective circuit and they met. Which that game was, a lot of people didn't want that game to happen, but you had the 2 guys that said, "No, we gonna play this." You know what I'm saying? Which would have been my stance. Like, man, come on, man. Like I don't care nothing about what y'all got going on. We gonna settle this one.
And you know what? And that conversation definitely is to be continued. And as we up against the end of the clock, man, Julio, any last thoughts you have to share with the viewers, and how can they follow you guys on your social media platforms?
You can follow us at Atlanta.Celtics.com. I take that back. Atlanta.Celtics on Instagram, and Atlanta Celtics on Twitter. And I just want to say one thing before I go.
Okay.
The debate. When we talk about all these, greatest team of all time, greatest program of all time. I think everybody got an argument in their own perspective, right? But when they doing these debate hits, do me one favor. Ask these guys, only list the players that played only with your program. Like not the ones you grab the jersey for one weekend. Because if you go to listen, Deion Glover, Dwight Howard, Josh Smith, Randolph Morris, Derek Favors, Javaris Crittenton, even up to Mayama, Jabari Smith, you will never see them nowhere but Atlanta Celtics jersey. Search the internet, search everywhere you want to go. Ain't no 3-4 jersey. We ain't borrowing for a weekend. They are Atlanta Celtics kids.
That's interesting, Julio.
Hey, three Naismith Player of the Years, Donnell Harvey, Derek Favors, Dwight Howard. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, I can use the argument like a lot of them use. Yeah, we had Amari Stoudemire for a couple of weekends. We brought Joe John. I ain't using none of them. I only use the kids that are your kids that only play with your program. And then let's have that argument or that debate.
But Julio, I know we got to go, but that's hard, man. Everybody can't keep a kid for all them years like you did.
Hey, man. Then, if that's the case, if that's the case, then you don't need to be in that discussion then. The point is having a discussion. You know what I mean? If we debating this and this debate and this discussion we had, then that got to be, come on, man.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, we ain't gonna do the rental player. You rent a player, oh, it make my program great. No, you know what I'm saying? To base us on that, you know what I'm saying? When everybody and their mama tried to come at Dwight Howard, he ain't go nowhere. Didn't play in nothing. When everybody and their mama tried to come at Derek Favors, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, even this year, my young kid, Jabari Smith, another top 5.
Yeah.
When everybody and their mama tried to come at him and do, no. He's Atlanta Celtics. That's it.
I like that.
Hey, say it with your chest,
like
that's
that,
what I'm talking about. That's me talking. So now, what would, okay, I'm going to take that and go, I got my notes for that. What would be the minimum years? What, 2 seasons?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
What would be the minimum with your pledge to say, okay, your stipulation to add into the equation? What would be the minimum amount of years to play with the program?
I think even if they had them just a whole year, like had them for a whole season.
Okay.
All our kids, I'm saying these kids with 3-4 years, even if they had them for a whole season, but not just he playing with this program one weekend, he going with this program this weekend, he out on the West Coast playing with this program this weekend. That's not your kid. You're renting him. You know what I'm saying? You got him for this one weekend. No, he's everybody's kid. Hell, if that were the case, I could have brought him to Atlanta to play for us.
Hey, man, Julio, man, guess what? We love it, man. Hey, man, thanks so much for the combo and chopping up with us on the Chop Shop. We knew it was out of time before you get, well, something just touched your cool about this grassroots and you got it off your chest. Indeed, man. Thanks so much once again. Hey, man, guys, this is Julio Smith, Atlanta Celtics, man. And this is why they're definitely one of the best grassroots programs ever.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, big fella.
All right, take it easy.
Hit that red button.
Hey, man, great convo with Julio, man. And as you see, and once again, guys, on the Chop Shop, we ask you guys on the YouTube feed, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up if you're watching right now. Give us a thumbs up. If you're on the Facebook feed, this is the time to share the show with your family and friends. Share the show and to your timelines. We'll give you a chance to do that. We hadn't do so yet. Shout out to Bobby Benjamin out there.
Yes,
respect.
Sir.
I see that he's taking notes. Shout out to Todd Holmes. Yeah. I see community property, rental player. They laughing out loud. They love it. Shout out to Gary Charles on the YouTube feed watching right now. I see you over there. Jeremy Davis. And he's like, Julio got a real good point. Say, man, you got to bring these guys back. But it is a good point. But and then modify. I like the way he came and modified it and say at least a season.
At least a season.
And that's the thing. That's why I proposed to everybody to put your list out there. See, here's what happens. And we're gonna give everybody time because I want to, me personally, I would love to do an article once I get all of the facts, meaning that you got to give me the name, what summer he played with you, and then that way we have to, and we can fact check. We have to vet those names to make sure this ain't a one-hitter quitter for one weekend. We're not going to count that. For example, in Houston, Texas, everybody remembers T.J. Ford played with John Urich, superstar. But his last summer, his last tournament that he ever suited up with in Grassroots, guess who he suited up with? Adam?
Houston Hoops.
Houston Hoops.
But it wasn't that long. They rented it.
But at the same time, in their mind, they may be thinking, well, hell, if we'd have had some more games to play, he'd have continued to play with us. But
I like that. But Jimmy, we got a special guest. Jimmy, we got a special guest who's been waiting in the wing. He been in the dressing room, sipping some tea, eating the fruit and everything in the green. He been in the green room. He been waiting patiently.
Huh? Yeah. Who we got there? Who we got there? Al? Who we got?
No, I'm gonna let you announce him. This your dude. You've been talking about this dude for months and months and months. And I just can't believe, man, I'm just so happy that we're blessed enough for him to be on the show today. So Jimmy, you without further ado, introduce our guest.
Man, without further ado, we dive right into it, man. We have a guy, man, that's one of the most embraced, and he's a pioneer for not only the grassroots circuit, but a lot of college coaches alike.
Yes.
And this is a man, especially when you think about stuff that is going on in our society right now. He, a lot of people would have folded like a cheap chair.
Yeah.
This man sit down and he took it and went on and sit down for a minute, and he's back and join us. And here's the thing is, after today, one thing I really hope that not only will you guys feel more and understand this guy a lot more, but you will do whatever you can to find a way to help support whatever he's doing in a positive fashion.
Yes.
Because if people know that they have support, then they're more likely to keep fighting the good fight. They're more likely to fight your fight if they know they have your support. Otherwise, he's only going to fight his own fight.
Preach real.
And that's one of the things that's lacking in our community today. As I look over and people taking chances, people taking risks, people taking penitentiary chance as each day goes by. But then you look around, even on the streets, you got soldiers on every corner out there. And no matter what city or what urban community it is, and guess what happened? Them soldiers, it turns into soldiers, because you know what they know? They know if they go down, Big Pookie gonna burn them out. Big Pookie if they gotta go sit down, Big Pookie gonna take a bag and go make some groceries, take it over to mama house.
Right.
That means you being supported. Who are you supporting? Besides somebody on the other side of your TV screen. That's the thing. We got to stop sitting here watching the movie after movie. Hell, you're watching real life on net. It's like real life. You think it's just no much different than Netflix. So without further ado, let's get our guests right on this screen right now. And we got with you guys. We got the great. Because I say the great because that means there's no way that the story of grassroots basketball will ever be told in fiction without mentioning Manuel Book Richards. Welcome to the Chop.
What's up, big fella? What's happening? Hold on. Oh, let me give you your applause, coach.
Hey, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it, Jim. That's a hell of an intro. The last couple of years, I've heard legend, I've heard GOAT. I'm like, don't write my story. It's not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Right.
And especially to these youth, especially to these coaches, especially to the people who look like us, trying to make sure that we have an opportunity and a platform to get to where we need to get to. I think a lot of the times our kids, and I tweeted this the other day. Our kids can't win, right? Or we can't win if our kids don't win. And so many times guys think it's just basketball. No, the Gauchos, man, I've been texting you stuff just in terms of our program, but let's talk about, the kids that you have that are professional people, because our goal and our job is as mentors, as men, are to make Black fathers, are to make respectable Black men, respectable Black women, to make sure that we all, bodega corner stores, CEOs of corporations, hopefully we can get a president of the United States, because again, that number, you talk about in the world, it's a better chance for a Black man to be a brain surgeon than to play in the NBA. And those kids, when they don't make it to the NBA, we think they failed. How?
That's a good
one.
So
I just want to make sure I said that, because, with the Gauchos, the numbers, no one can compare to our numbers other than Riverside Church, because I think it's unfair. because we've been doing it for such a long time. But you start looking at the people who you have. You know, Dave Britton's down in Dallas. No one realized that dude was one of the first Gauchos. You know, so I just want to make sure that I mentioned the air eventually comes out of the basketball. Then what? You know, if someone can be a pro for 20 years, let's say they do it from 20 to 40, what do they do from 40 to 90? You know, so again, I think we have to start embracing that culture of it's more than basketball. The air's gonna come out the ball, and the professional kids, the professional people, make sure you have the mentors and the teachers to help them become responsible Black husbands, you know, Black fathers, Black businessmen.
And now tell us, speaking of the Gauchos, so that people know, roughly approximately how many players that made it to the NBA from your program, and
40.
When did they? 41.
41.
41. Wow. What year was the Gauchos established?
1967. That's
old school. So back so now, at what point what year did you join and you come in? Did you play your way through and then come back and volunteer, or did you?
Hicks, the story is crazy because I played with the rival Riverside Church.
No.
No. There was a civil war. I lived in the Bronx. I would get on a train to pass Riverside, to pass the Gauchos to get to Riverside Church. And it was something, I grew up in Harlem for a little bit. So the church was, you know, Riverside Church was in Manhattan. But the Gauchos, again, it was Duke, Carolina, you know, in terms of rivalries. And when, you know, you grow up and you think that you hate, you know, because again, as Black men, we taught to hate one another. You know, we're taught to hate. We're taught to emasculate. You know, we don't celebrate our greats. We pit them against each other. Yeah, we're the only ones that do that. We do it in music. We do it in, you know, I've never heard our white counterparts say, man, hey, Bon Jovi is better than Twisted Sister. Nah, they rocking. They getting money together. So the story, man, as I came back after 9/11, graduated, came back, and a guy by the name of Paul Brown, who was the director at the time, and Julius Allen was like, yo, this guy's a coach. And I was able to. So Hicks, remember when we came down to Kingwood, you talk about Sunyata Gaines, Ronald Ramon, Curtis Kelly, Russell Robinson, that group. And I'm affiliated with them, and I'm like, man, these guys are talented. But I started thinking they don't match up to the old Gaucho teams because, again, it was so, again, you 60s, 70s, it's only 3 programs. So you had to make a team. But you were making an Olympic team in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. There wasn't a lot of different teams to play on. So Hicks, by the time I started coaching with them, it was like, wow, you know, you win the Peach Jam with that group. You win Kingwood with that group. Memorial Day, we win with that group. And then somebody said I could coach. So I'm working the hoop group, and, you know, Coach Kennedy's like, look, I got somebody who wants to meet you. His name is, you know, Matt. And it's like, wait up. I know this guy. Oh, he recruited me when I was in high school. Long story short, he tells me, listen, I heard you really good. Heard you can get some kids. Heard you can coach. But if we get this one guy, he's better than you, we're not hiring you. And the guy's name was John Prelo. And I was like, all right. John Prelo takes another job. He hires me at Marist. Matt Brady hires me at Marist. I have no understanding of what I'm doing, but I had that Gauchos brand. And by the way, you know, playing with Riverside Church, you know, you talk about the 2 patriarchs, Ernie Lorch and Lou Dalmeda. They invented this. You know, they invented grassroots basketball. They invented AAU basketball, travel team, whatever you want to call it. Those were the forefathers. Those were the pioneers. So I go to Marist, and I still, Hicks, I'm still trying to be involved and run a program. So Matt Brady was saying I would commute every day from the Bronx and go to Marist, 76 miles one way, every day. My heart was still there with those kids. And I also realized this, I couldn't give Marist, my best time because my mind is still in the Bronx, 478 Girard Avenue with the Gauchos. So I came back, became the director, and I had a group of guys, Kimber Walker, Jordan Theodore went to Seton Hall. Truck Bryant went to West Virginia. Durant Scott went to Miami. Danny Jennings went to West Virginia. Kevin Phillips went to Drexel. That was my 15s, and I think they were 15. Mm-hmm. I didn't think they were that good because behind them was Deron Lamb, John Enriquez, Shane Southwell, Angel Nunez, Russ Smith. So what happens is now you fast forward, those guys played 16s because the group I had, and because I don't want to disrespect anyone, right. You know, you start having guys like Waymere Fajuku, Saquon Stone, Levance Fields, Curtis Kelly. It's like, oh man, what am I going to do with those guys? Because like we had guys, and Julio made a great point. I've had guys in my program that I'm like, you're not playing a weekend. Either you're going to play for the year or because we're not borrowing. You don't borrow nobody's wife. I'm not doing that. You know, like kid Terrell Holloway, my heart. But I understood when he left, I understood why he had to leave, and no problem. To this day, that's like a son to me. So now that team with Kimba, we going to run like no other, Jimmy. I remember every time we came to the gym, you'd see me. Now I'm going to show you how the East Coast rock. When we heard that, we knew we had to get to Sunday, and I felt like Tiger Woods. I had the black on, black polo, black pants, some black Air Force Ones. Chad Baby was the same way. Yo, we all black. We here to win. I'm not here to compete. I'm here to win this. Peach Jam, 2 years, those kids never lost. That's what I'm like. When you start talking history and lineage, that's when I stick my chest out. Because we not only won things, we dominated at such a high level. EYBL, high level domination. You know, like, again, my kids have never lost in Peach Jam.
Wow. You know what, Book? I'm glad you said that. I'm going to tell you my first New York Gaucho story. Nike had the Brand Jordan came and did some. I think I forgot something was in town, an All-Star game, Brand Jordan game or something there. And I had to go to your gym. My first time in the Bronx now. I mean, I've never been in the Bronx ever. And I was with the Nike guys. Let me tell you something, man. Y'all gym had your own gym. Explain that. I mean, the Nike, the Gaucho. Explain that to me, man. How a summer basketball program got their own gym.
We became the culture of grassroots basketball because the founder, Lou Dalmeda, again, he was a visionary. You know, we had our own gym in the South Bronx because, again, you got tired of renting from schools. You got tired of saying, hey, can we get this time? Or, hey, if the school was closed. So what he did was he said, I'm going to build my own gym. And now, like, we just redid our floor. You know, you talk about hollow grounds, hollow floor. Like, that place is a national monument. And it should be addressed as such because you talk about 1989, I believe, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, the Russians came to play in New York. They played in the Gauchos gym. Kenny Anderson played on that team. Jamal Mashburn, Conrad McCray. So, you know, I think when you start to talk about national treasures, national monuments, the New York City Gauchos gym is one of them. Because, by the way, we don't rent from anyone. If I want to go work a kid out 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, guess what? I'm working them out. I don't have to ask permission to work anyone out to get them better. And that's what's made our program so good, so fruitful over the years because you had an opportunity to get your guys better. Because I think we've had great teachers. You have Dave Jones, Dave McCollum, Dwayne Mitchell, Earl Elliott. Like, you had guys along the way, Walter, who's been there 20, 30 years teaching. Like Mr. Page, no one talks about him as a teacher, but Fred Neal. So I'm talking about guys that's been vested in this program because guess what? You got a gym.
Unbelievable, y'all. Hey, Jimmy, that's a national treasure, like he said. You got to go up there and see it. You know, it's not far from. I remember Yankee Stadium was not far from there. Yeah, and Jimmy, that's the first time I ever got on the train because I couldn't get a cab. They weren't stopping for me. Y'all got to understand, man. I'm not used to being in the Bronx. Hey, Julio, a book. I wasn't used to being in the Bronx, man. So, and I was by myself. And you know how people tell me, man, you got to get on this train. I said, I don't know what the hell. Show me what to do. Man, when I got back to Manhattan, I said, y'all can have the Bronx. And look, if I don't have my team with me, see, I came with the Nike people, but they were taking too long. I was ready to go. And let me tell you something, a different experience for me, gentlemen, on that train. But I made it, and you can talk about that experience. But right by Yankee Stadium, Jimmy, what you got?
I mean, I'm looking and just think reflecting back on the list, and you mentioned some of these names, and a lot of people they may have flew over them. You know, just started at the way back in the game, and one name that just jumped off the page was Pearl Washington.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Dwayne Pearl Washington. You know,
Magic.
it was New York
Black
New
Magic.
York Gaucho. Now this was back in the early '80s, and at that time, Grassroots. You got to realize a lot of people may not understand. Even in New York, y'all may not understand. It wasn't until 1978-ish that the state of Texas, the players could go and play in all-star games around the country. So a lot of people may wonder, well, if some of these guys from that you might hear old names from Texas was this and that, well, they could not go. It was a guy from Houston Madison High School. It took the perfect hue of a person to file the lawsuit.
Greg Kite.
Greg Kite filed that lawsuit and successfully opened the door for guys to go and play abroad in those games. So now back in those days when Pearl came out, I think that was 83, early 80s. What was it, you know, I mean, we all were little in, but just some of the stories that you heard, what was the state, the options? Either back then, they either had to play for the Gauchos or Riverside Church. Was there, I mean, everything else, I mean, what was everything, what was the close third, or was there a close third in the area back then?
Madison Square Broncos, you know, late 80s, early 90s. And that's, you know, guys, that's why I said playing in New York City in those times, you made an Olympic team, because on your team you had all city, all state, all Americans. That's exactly what you had. And you know, so when you talk about having the best talent, Hicks, in those times, like I remember going to a game and Pearl nickname was Pac-Man, watching him come to a game late. You know who played in that game? Rod Strickland, Lloyd Daniels, Walter Berry, Chris Mullen. This was outside. So like when you start to say like this wasn't a tournament that was inside, this was outside. Pac-Man comes late, he's on a moped, he's got a big Pac-Man chain, in and out crossover. And when we talk about like all-time Gaucho greats, like guys like Lloyd Daniels, Sweet Pea, Hicks, he was shot, addicted to drugs, 5 high schools. They said he couldn't read or write. Played 7 years in the NBA. Man, God is good.
I got a question, Book, help me. Tell people how good. Where's Mully from? Where's Mully? Chris Mullen. What part of New York he's from?
Brooklyn. He went to Powell Memorial.
Okay.
And then I think his senior year, he either vice versa, but Xaverian High School and then, you know, Powell Memorial, because Powell closed down.
Wow.
So, you know, think about it. Mark Jackson, Chris Mullen, Walter Berry, you know, you talk about they get St. John's to a Final Four. At that point, your kids stayed home. You know, those kids stayed home. And then the caveat was if they were good enough, they were top 5 guys. They went to Carolina.
Right.
Kenny Smith.
Right.
You know, and I think overall, because the talent was so good, like Hicks, in 1990, New York City had 5 McDonald's All-Americans playing high school basketball in New York City. And by the way, the 6th guy who should have been a McDonald's All-American was Jamal Mashburn, a Gaucho. Wow. That's 1990. That's the Catholic School League. You have 5 McDonald's All-Americans. Jamal Mashburn was the 6th. Terrence Rencher, the very next, and by the way, was New York State Mr. Basketball, but did not play in the McDonald's game. The very next year, Terrence Rencher did the same thing. New York State Mr. Basketball, didn't play in the game. So it goes to show you the rich tradition of New York City basketball and what we've done. And then you start to say, man, what happened? Because I'm just saying, like Pearl, Kenny Anderson, Rod Strickland, Mark Jackson, Chris Mullen, John Sally. Like those are names that Ed Pickney. Like, you start forgetting names.
I didn't know Elton Brand was from up there that way.
Upstate New York, Peekskill. Peekskill.
I see why they used to call y'all the Mecca.
and you know, so my job is responsible to bring that back, because what's happened is there's been such a disconnect, I think, with the teaching, with the kids, and you know, Nick and Mike said something so prevalent early, you know, the parental involvement, because Hicks, you know, like both of you guys know, when we grew up and played, your parents, mom and dad kind of dropped you off. They trusted the coach.
Yes.
They trusted the high school coach. They trusted the grassroots coach. Now everybody's in that proverbial, I want to get the bag, so I want to be there, so I don't want to miss nothing. Well, you're not missing. Guess what? If you're the parent, you're the parent. If the kids win, everybody wins. If the adults win and the kids lose, I have this thing called, our kids are, you know, we have 30-year-old black men who are still on scholarship. Eventually the scholarship has to stop.
Like that. I got a question for you, Book. They said, why wasn't Kenny Anderson, Clarence Harris said, why wasn't Kenny Smith ranked until he was a senior? He said, ask him, can he explain why Kenny Smith wasn't ranked until his senior year?
Because there were guys like Ed Davitt, there were guys that were there in the city that, again, you go to, you know, Archbishop Malloy High School, there was so much talent. And Kenny Smith, as talented as he was, I mean, NBA player, great. But there was no easy wins that he had. I think Kenny would tell you that. I think Kenny Smith would tell you, man, the guys who I played against who didn't play in college. Like, there's a guy, Beadle, you know, out of Brooklyn. You know, when Brooklyn's good, the city's good. When Queens is good, the city's good. The Bronx, man, when those boroughs are good, the city is fruitful. And like I said, you start thinking, I mean, we talk about world be free. You start going back to Rodney and Scooter McCrae. So the history is so rich because those names are never talked about. It's like kind of like they're forgotten. And again, I think we do that. We forget our heroes. We forget our heroes. And the problem that happens when you forget your heroes, you kind of forget your history and your lineage. Someone else can tell your history. Someone else can give you your lineage.
Awesome. Wow. Go, Jim.
Another question is asked is how did Rod Strickland end up at DePaul? How did you guys let him get up out of New York?
Come on, Hicks. Come on, Hicks.
No. This is a question
there was a question on the Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Not for Jimmy. Could you tell it? Is it a story you can tell?
You know what? He liked the food. He liked Harold's Chicken in Chicago. That's my big homie. That's the OG. He liked Harold's Chicken.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Stop it, Jimmy.
No, it's not me. I'm reading some. I know
it.
We're entertaining some of the questions that people have. A lot of the viewers, they're watching you, and they often present questions, and you know we don't ask them. Then the subject could change, and the question will be like a day-old donut. So that's what happened right then. Of course, now Book. I'm once again looking at explain to us. You're saying you are now back with the Gauchos.
Mm-hmm.
What's your role right now, and what's on the horizon for Book Richardson? So
I'm the director on the boys side of basketball. Earl Elliott is the director of the girls and the whole program. Earl's been doing this for a while. I came back after my situation from college, and I think especially as a black man, my role is to now make sure that I can educate the youth, educate our coaches, and be a sounding board for them in terms of trying to help them become, like I said, better black men, better black husbands, or just better people in general, not just black, but anybody that I can come in contact with. That's what I think I'm learning, even on the business side of things, trying to make sure that we have a level of understanding in terms of representation. We do need more professional people around, and it doesn't have to be with basketball. It can be through basketball. Right now, we are in the process of talking to a couple of different sneaker companies to get back on the circuit. I forgot. I've been in Arizona for so long that I forgot when we lost our Nike contract. And again, trying to make sure that we get this thing revved back up, because we probably have the best middle school program in the country. And what happens, guys do a great job of saying, listen, they're not on a sneaker company circuit. So in high school, play with us. And that's kind of, you look at a kid like RJ Davis, everyone would think, well, that's the kid that Julio explains. Like, that kid, from 2nd grade to 8th grade, he played with the Gauchos. He signed his national letter of intent in the Gauchos gym. But because he played in EYBL with, I think, the Wrens or whomever, they say, oh, that's our kid. And it's like, that's the kid. The kid will tell you. So again, you start looking at our middle school program. I would stack our middle school program up against anybody in the country. My 8th grade team, my 7th grade team, my 6th grade team, my 5th grade team. Like, again, we start in the 2nd grade because, again, I'm focusing on teaching. I don't want to have to go recruit you when you're a junior in high school. And no, you're already in the program. And by the way, I got you better. We got you better. That's the goal.
Wow. Jim?
I'm reflecting back now, of course, with the Gauchos now, and the vision is to get one day to get on one of the sneaker circuits.
One day, very soon.
How many sneaker sponsored programs is in the New York area as it stands, or we're going to be in 2020? How many now?
Just all sneakers.
Did we think about 17U that have a 17U program? How many are there now?
6.
Now, as opposed to back in the days, there were only how many? 2.
And then because Gary did a great job of cornering the market with Adidas, because at one point, Gauchos were Adidas as well. Like, again, I just got off the phone with Sonny. We're talking about, what happened in The Last Dance, and he's got something out of, called, it's on Vice TV, yes. A man in his shoes. Mm-hmm. So I'm just talking to Sonny from the understanding of, I'm listening to the older guys. And think about, you have Jimmy, you got Wrens, Lightning. You got 4 Nike sponsored programs, like within 30 miles of each other. And I'm not even talking about Albany City Rocks. And then you have the Expressions they're a bordering state. So you think about that. And that's why I think guys don't realize, like, oh man, I kept my kids. The hardest thing in the world is to keep your kid in New York City. There's no place else in the world like this. The competition, by the way, I got a kid, he played, you got 2 Gauchos, and I remember that in high school. My younger brother, or a guy like a brother to me, he played with the Gauchos and went to Talentine, and I went to St. Raymond's and played with Riverside. It was civil war. But now, like I said, part of it is there's this thing, I think there are way too many quote unquote trainers and people who are catering to these kids, and they're trying to be their friends instead of, be a mentor, be a role model. You can laugh, joke, but again, you got to make these kids accountable for the real world, because understand that if whatever, my mother would always teach me, whatever I don't teach you, the streets will. And I think we've taken that away. I think what we've done, Jimmy, I think we've started to say, you know what, because of all the egregious things that were done to us, we're not going to let it happen to our kids. But but then I say, well, what made me really good? What made me who I am? Because we take so much away from them. We don't allow them to grow up. So
back in the days, the streets protected a lot of the young kids that were the basketball, the anointed ones. And that's whether, in most cities across the globe, across the country. Has that changed? Do you feel that that star player sometimes, I know I've seen a few in Houston that aren't as, in other words, back in the days, the streets will let you know, hey, no, young blood, you can't ride in the road car with us. Go on. You need to get your butt back to the gym. Is that the same nowadays in New York City for the most part? Or do you see it's hard to pry those kids away from the other side of the block?
I think it's a step was skipped. I had this conversation in depth with a real good friend of mine a couple of days ago. And you know what, Jimmy, I'm gonna be a little controversial. That's just who I am right now.
Come on.
The crack era, man. The 80s, the 90s, the crack era. right? A generation was skipped from the OGs to now we have young OGs. So guess what, Jimmy? When there was a kid who we felt was a prodigy, no, keep him away from that. See, now there's kids going to these young OGs who are 4 or 5 years older than them. So now the information that's given, it's not like, yo, stay away from this. It's not your whole list. Or not, we in this, we gonna get you into the club, because it's clout chasing. All the athletes want to be entertainers, and all the entertainers want to be athletes. So whereas before, where there was a level of understanding, hey, this kid's got a chance to be a prodigy, this kid's got a chance to be really good, I don't think we do that enough. And I think the exposure to it is like, again, you see fast money, fast cars, you see beautiful women, you think that's how you can do it. And we celebrate that instead of saying, listen, I do that because this is my only way out. You have a different option to get out. And when you get out, what we don't teach is to come back and pull, and each one teach one. Pull. We don't do that. What we do, we teach them to get out and stay away. And again, that comes from representation. That comes from the agents. That's like, hey, you need to stay away from that situation. Your reputation. It's like, wait, my reputation, I learned from these areas, from these people. Let's see if I can help them, instead of saying, hey, let me get you a barbershop. That's not what it's about. Again, people can say what they want about Braun, but I watch what he's done with his team. And again, what he's done, all of those guys, I've watched Penny. I played against Penny. You talk about buttoned up. You talk about professional. I would always be around Dana Stoudemire. And again, I started learning a lot more stuff. Andre Iguodala, you start to learn a lot more. And you start to say, like, you know what? Man, imagine if everyone just said, listen, I may not be able to pull 10 people, but I'm going to pull 2. 2 pull 4. Then that 4 pull 10. But what happens is, because we start to worry about systematic racism start, because guess what? It's the have and the have-nots. It's the people in power. Because what they said to us, Jimmy, again, this is the controversy, because again, let's speak on it. What they said to us, I'm going to give you money and I'm going to silence your voice. Because think about what happened to me. It's 4 black assistant coaches that get arrested. Nobody else. But guess what? We don't have Big John. We don't have Cheney. I haven't had a black head coach of power call and say, Book, how you doing? But by the way, you talk about the runs that I had, because again, I don't like to say but this the time to say it, Jimmy.
Yes.
Them dudes say, oh, how you doing? Mentally, how's your family? How's your wife? How's your grandkids? You in Tucson? Where you at, Book? By the way, when you come out, man, I need you to come talk to my team. I need you to talk to them about the pitfalls. Good people make bad decisions. But what you did, man, I don't know if that was wrong, because again, that's been what, Jimmy? SOP, standard operating procedure. But again, we have guys like Dick Vitale who are, castrating us. But guess what? As much as I love Jimmy Valvano, I think the world of him. He's done a tremendous job for cancer. He's one of the biggest cheaters in the world, and we know it. So again, whatever negative feedback I get, I don't care, because again, the truth is what we've been doing has, now you demonize it, because again, it affects who? Who does it affect? The people in power. You think the NCAA, you think they want their billions touched? Come on. Nah, not letting y'all do that. So again, you start to talk about an era was skipped, a generation was skipped in terms of us making sure Jimmy Hicks got to get to where he got to get to. I'll sacrifice to make sure you get there. Guess what? I'm going to keep that window open. But come on. Jim, I can't fit. You got to get through. Boom, it's shut. At least somebody got through, versus both of us looking at each other. Helping.
Wow.
Why do you think it's like that?
Because the more money they give us, the more they silence us. Back when the salaries weren't $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 million. Now, guess what? You got a person that's making, if I'm making $3 million a year, I don't want to lose that. Look where I come from. What else could I do? What else could I do in my life to make that money? So the more the sneaker companies got involved and said, yo, here, or the universities here, they gave us more money, but they silenced us. And we were okay with it, because guess what? We grew up with nothing. So I do want to be accepted. As black men, guess what? You talk about mental health. Come on, our self-esteem is low before we born, because again, Willie Lynch said, yo, I'm going to go get the biggest one. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to do everything I can. So I'm going to instill that fear in the womb. Guess what? We came out scared. Don't say nothing. You better be quiet. Don't cause a ruckus. Jimmy, don't wear that hat. They're gonna look at you. And we started believing it.
In basketball, what let you down the most about this amateur basketball?
Amateur basketball, that word is it's an oxymoron. It's no such thing as it. It's, you know, we've perpetrated a fraud. That's the fraud. This word amateurism. Amateurism stopped when, again, these guys started making $2, $3, $4 million. It stopped when you have these endowments. It stopped when you can get 100,000 people into an Alabama football game. And by the way, you got seat licensing. You have all these, you selling beer. That amateurism. Come on, man. It's the last form of modern slavery, and we know it. And again, I love to, you know, I've read Unsportsmanlike Conduct about, you know, by Walter Byers, like, dude, how this thing started. So I get it. In the 80s, it was about a scholarship, but also those guys are making money. The universities are making money, and they're saying, I'm giving you a scholarship. Well, how about this? Let me come to school, because the majority of these kids would get financial aid, the majority of them, not all, but the majority. Let me get the check from the seats, and you take the scholarship, and I'll pay you back, right? I'll take out a student loan. I'll pay the student loan back. Let's see who makes more money. Because the NCAA is not a non-for-profit 501(c)(3). You kidding me? Mark Emmett makes how much money to do what?
$4 million, I think.
That's what's let me down, that word, because it's no such thing as amateurism. This is the free market. Everyone else is a free market. Again, a coach, if he says, I want to leave in the middle of the year, he can leave. If a kid leaves in the middle of the year, it's a problem. Why? Again, I'm not all for the transfer portal and all that, but again, part of the transfer portal conversation has started because ADs, administration, everyone, presidents can leave in the middle of the year. There's no penalty. But when we do it, every time we do something, or every time we say, hey, you know what, I want to flex my proverbial muscle, sit down. Sit down. You done had enough. Hey, I'll give you a little bit more. I'll give you $200 extra on your scholarship check so you can eat. Don't worry about it. Shabazz Napier. Oh, it's nice to be hungry. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. All right.
So
again, social media.
So the money is there.
Money's been there.
You know what? Book, I hadn't had the pleasure of hanging out with you and being around you, but just talking to you this last 30 minutes, you know how they say you're more than an athlete. You're more than a basketball coach. You're more. I'm sitting here just your spirit about this thing, and now I see why you were so successful in what you did. I used to hear your name used to be, Book. I've been in places where you was over that side with your section, and I was over here with my section, and they was telling me who you are. But man, I'm just so glad and thankful that you came on this show, and I know Jimmy got to go to the dentist. But Jimmy, you might have to put that dentist appointment. You might have to tell him, because our fans on the show saying, "Man, we can't take this man off right now." So
I can go about 13 more minutes.
Okay, let's put that. Cause we got to have some more, Book. Keep going, Book. I didn't mean to interrupt you, man. I just had to give you your flowers while you're here, Doc. you follow me?
It's what he's saying. I mean, is penetrating. That's why I was looking. I'm like, dang, because I'm looking at the end of the clock. I have a surgery that I have to go in, and so I gotta go and eat my last piece of meat for about a month. And but back to you, Book, and I'm thinking, how can the basketball community support Book from Illinois, Georgia, Texas, California? We understand you're based in New York, but the thing is, will there be, since you mentioned the young teams, and if so many people claim, when you come home, hey, brother, we got your back, and I know you hear that mess, but, how about a tournament, maybe? And maybe that tournament will be people's way of showing them just how much they want to support you or wanted to support you and just didn't. Well, now's the time for you to double down and man on up. And this, I'm just trying to think in my mind. I don't know if you've thought about it, but about for 2021 or 2022, because now everybody's dates is messed up for 2021. You don't know what the calendar is going to be like. So why not a tournament and at a limit at a certain age and below somewhere, and then that way now people can support you,
especially having a gym. We have a facility. That's again with the Gauchos, you talk about the day I came home, October 17th. That was one of the first phone calls I got from come on home, and it meant so much because for a very long time I thought I was the scum of the earth. I thought I was a bad guy, because what happens to you, you go sit down someplace and they tell you what you can do. They tell you what time is meal. They tell you what time you got to be counted. Again, I'm in there and I'm like, wow, I'm 40 something years old, and I'm in a place that I thought I'd escaped. I thought I won. I thought I escaped. And you know what? God has a great way of saying, listen, follow me instead of following your own path. Follow me. Because again, what I needed to be reprogrammed. I needed to say, like, you know what? The master that you're serving, that's not your master. I'm your master. You want to call all these kids and recruit them. How about you give me 10 minutes a day? Talk to me. How about you give me 5 minutes instead of talking to 50 kids? So, for me, having an opportunity to have a program, because Jimmy, you and I talked about being the guardians of this game, being the guardians of this gate. This is my game. And until God takes the breath out of my body, I got to make sure I protect this thing that's sacred to us, because we do control this oil. We have to act like it. What we do is we control the oil and tell somebody else, hey, can you come mine it? We can mine it. If I got a good kid, and by the way, this may ruffle people the wrong way. If I got a relationship with somebody that looks like me and that can help a kid, why would I not help him? I'm not saying I'm not going to help anyone that doesn't look like me. I'd be foolish to say that, because there's been some great people who don't look like me who's helped me in my life, who continue to help me in my life. But I got to also start being loyal to who I am and making sure, listen, we going to do it. We going to do a Houston to New York event and figure some things out to be like, okay, I can get high schools, I can get the Gauchos gym, I can the preliminary rounds on the high school and the championship rounds are the Final Fours in the Gauchos gym. Or we can do a national tournament. Hey, you know what? Here's the regionals, and then the national championship is New York City Gauchos gym. But that's, I think that's how we can help one another, because the one thing that and you and I have so much history. My stake to claim was helping young Black coaches. Kimber Walker was going to be, again, he did what he did, but I had nothing to do with him, what he did at UConn. Mm-hmm. I had nothing to do with that. But what I did say, I got to make sure that the coaches in my program, they become high school head coaches, they become college coaches, they become great men, because again, those are the guys that eventually I got to move on. Curtis Malone would always do that. When you recruited a DC assault kid, you also got to look at the coaches that he has. And that culture, so when guys came through, we need this commission. Nah, listen, man, I don't care what coach it is. You're going to come in, you're going to break bread, you're going to come by this gym, and we're going to rap. We're going to rap. But what we do is, I think we've become so selfish. And again, if you show me one coin and I don't have it, I want that coin because I don't think we can do it together. No, we can do it together. And we can all eat from the same table. We can all eat from the same restaurant and the same menu. We just don't believe we can.
Do you think grassroots basketball in as far as in 2021, because this season it's a wash.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the reception like when the moment you walk into that event, that live period?
I was with Chad Babel and we were in New Jersey and we were at a hoop group event and like everything stopped. And I wasn't ready for it because I was so emotional. I'm tapped into my emotions and I broke down crying. I had to run outside because they stopped. They started clapping. We were in Phoenix, same thing. I'm with Chad, doing made hoop stuff. And we go to the hoop hall. And like Bishop Gorman is playing this. The coaches look back. They stopped their kids and started clapping for me. It was one of the most surreal feelings that I ever had in my life because it's like, I never looked at myself as being good or having talent. I did it because it was either this or the other option.
Right.
I always talk about, Biggie Smalls, either you sling, crack, rock, or got a wicked jump shot. So those were the parameters that you're given in New York City. So it's one of the most uplifting things because, again, like, when I go places, I've had kids run up on me. I've had adults and just, hug me. And it's like, wow, I didn't know that I mattered. Because, again, you're in Arizona and the fans at Arizona, again, it's a fever pitch. There's no place else in the country where a fan will wait 3 hours after a game to get the coach's autograph. And you know what they would always tell me? I know you don't get a lot of recognition, but we see what you do with those kids. We know behind the scenes what happens. And that, you know what? Hicks, I said, I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. So that reception, I'm telling you, the emotion, this is the first time that I probably haven't cried because I've been called soft to so many things, just being able to control my emotion because I'm telling you, it's when somebody stops and they clap for you, when somebody stops, and like I've had dudes who I coached against and salute me, and I'm like looking around like, me? When I hear that OG, when I hear legend, when I hear GOAT, when I hear King, I'm like, talking to me? Because again, guess what? In this world of college basketball, they don't teach you to be who you are. You're subservient. You work for somebody.
And Book, I just saw a comment, man. I mean, man, you talking about you don't want to tear. I'm almost tearing up right now. But Stacey Houston, and he don't give these kind of compliments. He said, "You deserve a standing ovation, my man. You have changed a lot of lives." That's what I see in you. And Stacey is one of the guys I talk to a lot about this community and how this community and how you said something, man. And I want you to go back and say it again. You said we control the oil.
Yeah, we control the oil.
I gave an analogy, a Book, and you can use it. Book, I happen to be blessed enough to travel all over the world. I go to Saudi Arabia, just talking, and you go to, you're going to Dubai, you want, you know how they go. So, I asked the dude, I said, hey man, young dude, man, got a little money, man, saved up, man. How can I get some of this? How can I invest in this oil? You know what he told me, Book? You can't do it, man. These our natural resources, we can't let you in. I respect that. Went to Africa. Went to the diamond mines of South Africa and Nigeria. And I said, man, how can I invest? They said, Robert, these are our natural resources. We can't let you in. These our natural resources. We are the only community. When I go into these gyms, when these gyms open up, our natural resources is our kids. You just said it. But we let anybody come in and mine our oil. We don't tell them, hold on, these are our natural resources, man. We'll do business with you, but we have to control this thing. If we need to do something with you, we'll do business with you, but you can't come. And let me tell you something. We allowed them to come in and control our oil so much, Book.
A long time ago.
Book, that Bob Myers can become the GM of the Golden State Warriors. Okay, Rob Pelinka can become the GM of the president of the Lakers. And Leon Rose can come Rose can the New York Knicks. And all of their clients happen to be African Americans. That's what gave them the power. And Book, you can speak truth to that, and you can listen to that. But when I heard you, other people just played around with it. I heard what you said. What do you think about that?
Bob Myers, love him. Fan of his.
Yes.
Rob Pelinka, former friend. I haven't spoke to these guys in a couple of years. But like I said, my wife had cancer, and Rob Pelinka was one of the first to call me and say, look, if you don't get what you need done in Tucson, send her out to LA. That meant the world to me because it had nothing to do with a basketball player. Mm-hmm. But guess what? they've understood what it is to come into, you know, to mine our natural resources, because what we're so fearful that we don't listen to one another. I'm not going to listen to Jim Hicks, who's been doing this for years about recruiting, because you know what? What's his angle? What's his agenda? Well, Jim Hicks done told you what his angle and his agenda is. This is what I do. But what we do, we're taught to fight one another. We're the two pit bulls, and we never pick the pit bull up that lost. We throw them away. We emasculate our greats, and therefore, why do you say a guy like Troy Weaver, who's still an assistant GM? Oh, I heard he don't interview well. What? What are you talking about? But guess what?
Great story.
You know, and you start to hear the grumblings. Oh, guys like Worldwide West. Why? Because he has a lane. But like I said, man, I come to Houston. I come there. You talk about the love that I get. Dallas, the love that you get. So Robert, why can't that love? That's why I make sure I reciprocate that love. But for whatever reason, we don't want to. I don't think we want to mine our own oil. I think what we want to do, we want to get a couple of barrels and sell it. I don't think we want to carry it all the way through. I don't think we want to mine it. I don't think it's 24 hours. I don't think we understand what that takes. I think, you know what? Again, we take that road over there. This too hard for you, man. You don't want to do this. Get rich quick. And then guess what? We now got to come back versus those guys ain't got to come back. Think about it. They are the presidents and GMs of, incredible organizations. Yes. Legendary. The Knicks and the Lakers, I think, are top 10 in terms of the most highly recognized franchises in sports, let alone basketball. By the way, awesome dudes.
Yes.
Bob Myers, the
yes.
world of. Rob Pelinka, I think the world of.
Yes.
Leon Rose, like I said, never had a chance to meet him. But overall, you start to say, like, okay, how did they get their claim to fame? Oh, they represented us. Guys like David Falk.
Yes.
Hey, Michael Jordan. So David Falk is the reason that Michael Jordan was good. He's the reason he negotiated. So you're telling me the greatest of all time needed him to negotiate. I get it. My bad. Rob, my bad. My bad. I'm sorry.
But
I'm being disrespectful. I'm sorry.
But Book, I know we got to go. But Book, you know what I'm thinking about? Like each one of those guys I mentioned, I know those guys, and I nothing against the guys. You know what I'm looking at? Book, look what I'm looking at. Their next generation is going to benefit it. Our next generation is not going to benefit from him being the president. His son gonna grow up feeling he can be the president of his daughter gonna grow up thinking he can be like Jerry Jones' daughter. That's the legacy, y'all. And those kids gonna be in that position. Those kids that's getting that legacy and getting that history.
Think about the power brokers. Think about the power brokers in LA. Dr. Jerry Buss, his family still runs it. And oh boy, who ran the Clippers? By the way, they gave him $2 billion to leave.
Wow.
Think about that. They gave him $2 billion to leave.
Yes.
Think about ownership. We talk about the greats of all time. When you look at the owners, basketball, football, they don't look like us. And by the way, they kind of need to be let, hey, what goes on? Because they didn't make their money from this.
That's right. That's right.
So again, this is something. This is, it's the privilege. You're one of 30 in the world to own one of these. It's that Bugatti that, again, think about it. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. Rolls Royce, guess what? That's not an everyday car you drive. They don't want you driving their car every day. But you know what they did? I'm going to make the Rolls Royce race because I know they like to drive it. We're going to make it 2 doors. We got the stars and the moons. And I'm going to sell it for $100,000 more. You going to buy it. They don't buy Wraiths. When they buy Royce, they're driven. Those cars, a driver's supposed to drive them.
Boy,
that's what he told me.
Boy,
when I saw him pull up in his, that's what he told me.
Man.
I'm glad you said it because when I said they go crazy when I say something like that. Man. Thank you, Book.
Playing that Ghetto Boys, that Scarface. I heard you.
Hey, I'm not going. Hey, Book, you got me. When you grabbed the microphone and you messed around and you quoted Bon Jovi versus Twisted Sister, that's when you got me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm down with you right then. Yeah, you diversify.
Because I was about to say Bon Jovi and Sting. I was finna.
They don't compete. They don't ever compete.
But I mean,
they'll never be on a verse. They will never compete against each other.
That's great, boy. Wow.
Elton John don't compete with Mick Jagger. Nah, we gonna go on tour. We gonna get all this money. I'm 70. So what?
That's when you think about it. You think back. Think about this. And you. I mean, that's something to go through the weekend and allow to soak in.
Yeah.
Guys, and book. We shortchange you and so we do, and this is rare. Yeah. Live on the Chop Shop, we allow you to pick your day that you want to come back and finish this conversation. I have to get over to the dentist and for this surgery. You pick your day. That way the viewers are watching right now. Let them know. That way they'll know when you're coming back.
It's gonna be book day.
That you want to come back on the Chop Shop, and we will continue this conversation. And because it's so much we left on the table, it's so much, and it's good. Know why? Because guess what? We got part 2. So that way now people that missed this and they get it now, they know they have tease on what's to come, because there's so much that
do it in the Gauchos
lacking out there. And now you guys get to hear it you get to hear the music from a different set of speakers. And maybe that sounds a little bit good to you guys now. And you see, it's not just a Houston thing.
My boss is telling me I gotta go.
Okay. Oh yes, I got you.
It's lunch, homeboy. Like, you've been running your mouth. You've been there. The boss has spoken. The boss of the bosses. Jim, you give me a date. You put it out there, and I'm gonna do it in the Gauchos gym, because I'm gonna do it on hallowed ground. That's what I'm gonna do for y'all.
Hey, don't mess around with door lock change when you come back home now.
Top block game that top block game. She's undefeated. And she got a wicked left hook.
Hey man, that's right, man.
See you later, baby.
Appreciate it, man. Much love, man. I'm talking. We set it up. We bring book back for you guys. We'll let you guys know when. But thanks a bunch from the Chop Shop. Make sure you share the show. If you're on the Facebook feed, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. We're streaming simultaneously on both of them. And guess what? It's time for us to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing on Baby Friday. See you guys on Monday. Hopefully I'll be able to talk. I know y'all gonna be swole. Y'all be all right, guys. Get back with you guys.
Jim Hicks. Rob Hatter, you are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro, let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the